Hey everyone, it's Mike from Destinations to Travel. In this video, we're going to be taking a closer look at both Universal Studios Florida and Universal Islands of Adventure and comparing them in 7 different categories to help you determine which one is the best park for you to visit on your Universal Orlando Resort vacation. Personally, I recommend getting out to everything Universal Orlando Resort has to offer, which includes those 2 parks, as well as, of course, Epic Universe and Universal Volcano Bay. But we get it, you can't always get out to every single park. So if you have to decide, hopefully this video will make it a little bit easier to decide which park is right for you. And like I said, we're going to be talking about 7 different categories to compare these 2 parks. And those categories are thrill rides, family rides, shows, food, atmosphere, quiet spaces, and staying cool. So we'll take a look at both parks and what they have to offer in each of those categories and let you decide which categories are more important to you as far as planning for your visit. So let's take a closer look. We'll start off with an easy one. Thrill rides. Look, Universal Studios Florida has some of my favorite attractions in the world. Revenge of the Mummy, Men in Black Alien Attack. I love them so much I will ride them again and again. But Islands of Adventure might be the greatest thrill ride park in the world. There are so many incredibly exciting attractions like the Incredible Hulk coaster, Velocicoaster, Hagrid's Magical Creature Motorbike Adventure, and those are just some of the big ones. There's so many in between. Dr. Doom's Fearfall, Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man is my favorite attraction anywhere. Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. There are so many exciting attractions in this park. So if you're really looking for thrill rides, if you want something that's just going to take your vacation to the next level and just the most exciting experience possible, Islands of Adventure is definitely the park you're going to want to go to for the more exciting attractions. Our next category is a bit more tricky, and that's family rides. So Islands of Adventure has Seuss Landing, which has some great family attractions, the High in the Sky Seuss Trolley, the Cat in the Hat. You've also got Stormforce Accelatron over in Marvel Superhero Island. There's the Camp Jurassic area over in Jurassic Park. There's a lot of fun little attractions for younger guests. However, I think Universal Studios has the edge in this category because you've got Minion Land and you've got DreamWorks Land, and both are really dedicated to younger guests. And personally, I love the attractions of Minion Land myself, so if you're traveling with your whole family and you have younger guests with you, it's a win-win there. So I think Universal Studios gets the edge, but this is a much closer one than, say, the thrill rides gap between Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios Florida. But again, family rides, I'm gonna lean towards Universal Studios Florida. Our next category is another fairly easy one, and this is shows. So Universal Studios Florida absolutely takes it home in this category. The horror makeup show is one of the funniest and one of my favorite theme park attractions anywhere. It's really, really funny. It is a horror-based show, so if you're a little squeamish, if you're totally horror averse, it's not going to be for you. But it's a comedy show as well, so I really enjoy it. I think a lot of guests do. The Bourne Stuntacular is mind-blowing. It is incredibly impressive. Highly recommend checking that one out. It is a stunt show, as you would guess from the name, but it's really technologically advanced and just mind-blowing. There really isn't anything quite like these shows over in Islands of Adventure. So there's character interactions and things like that, which we'll talk a little bit more about when we get to the atmosphere category. But there's really not that big stage show over in that park anymore. And Universal Studios Florida definitely takes this one much easier than it did with the family rides. The next category is food. And this is another really tough one because I think the real answer is actually the secret third option that we'll talk about at the end. But both parks have some pretty decent quick service options. I think the edge goes to Islands of Adventure because of Mythos, the table service restaurant that has won Best Theme Park Restaurant 10 years in a row, and as you'll see on the banners and things outside the restaurant. There are a couple good options, Lombard's and Finnegan's over in Universal Studios Florida, but I think, Mythos is a little bit higher end. Quick service is very comparable. They're very close to each other. I do like Green Eggs and Ham a lot over in Islands of Adventure. That's my go-to, although you got the Today Cafe and Minion Cafe over in Universal Studios Florida. So like I said, pretty even playing field there. But again, give the slight edge to Islands of Adventure because of Mythos. But the real answer is just head out to City Walk. There's so many amazing restaurants out on City Walk. That's just the way to go. Whether you want a table service or quick service, you can find a really great option. it's right outside. It's super convenient. You can walk right out the park gates, restaurants all around right there, grab a quick meal, go right back into the park. So it's super convenient, eat on City Walk, but if you're talking about the two parks themselves, slight edge to Islands of Adventure. Okay, let's talk about atmosphere. This one's a really tough one to judge because I think there's sort of two different categories to it. There's the lands themselves and then there's characters. So as far as the lands are concerned, it's fairly equal. I think Islands is a little bit more in-depth overall, but as far as the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, which I know is a big factor when it comes to planning vacations for a lot of people, Diagon Alley is the much more impressive land and might be the most impressive land in any theme park. So I feel like it's pretty even as far as the themed lands are concerned. As far as characters are concerned, though, Universal Studios Florida, really, I don't think there's a park better than Universal Studios Florida in the world for meeting characters. There are times, and this is a tip I like to give all the time, if you're there early in the morning, if you walk through the Hollywood area of the park, there are times where the characters will outnumber the guests, and it's an incredible experience. You just go from one character to the next. You might be talking to the Scooby-Doo gang and then hanging out with Doc Brown, and then you turn the corner and there's Beetlejuice, and then there's the Simpsons waiting for photos. So there's so many characters you can meet in Universal Studios Florida. There are quite a few characters in Islands of Adventure as well. You'll find some characters hanging out in Toon Lagoon. Of course, you've got the Marvel characters in Marvel Superhero Island. And of course, Seuss Landing has some great character meet and greets. But I think the variety and the spontaneity of Universal Studios Florida and their character meet and greets gives that park the edge as far as the atmosphere and character category as a whole. But this one's very close. You could go either way with this one. So I would say if you are really excited about meeting characters, give the edge to Universal Studios Florida, but don't let this be the deciding factor. Our next category is quiet spaces. This one's a little bit tricky because I think overall Islands of Adventure has more areas where you can kind of escape the crowds and sort of go into the nooks and crannies and the lesser traveled paths of the park. But Universal Studios Florida does actually have a quiet room right up at the front of the park. If you enter, you'll go immediately to the right, you'll find the quiet room right there, which is super convenient and very nice for those who need it. So I think I have to give the edge to Universal Studios Florida here because it actually has something that serves that purpose. And there are areas throughout the park where you can escape the crowds in Universal Studios Florida as well, just not quite as many as Islands of Adventure. And I will say, I think Islands of Adventure overall is probably a slightly noisier park with all the roller coasters and screaming and things like that. So yeah, I will give the slight edge to Universal Studios Florida on this one. And our final category is staying cool. Again, this is very tricky because Islands of Adventure is weirdly one of those parks that it just feels like it's always 10 degrees hotter in that park as opposed to everywhere else around. But it also has some of the greatest water-based attractions anywhere. Popeye and Bluto's Bilge Rat barges, Dudley Do-Right's Ripsaw Falls, and Jurassic Park River Adventure are some of the most fun rides in either park, but you do have to be prepared to be soaked. So if you want to go that route as far as keeping cool, that is a good way to do it. Universal Studios Florida has more indoor-based attractions and just ways to get out of the heat into some air conditioning. So I'm going to say it's a tie because it really just depends on how you prefer to beat the heat. Do you want to go on those water rides or do you want to just stay out of the sun? It really just depends on what you're preparing for and how you prefer to go about your vacation. So this one's just an even tie. So there you go. Of the 7 categories, Universal Studios Florida takes 4 of them, Islands of Adventure takes 2, and we have 1 tie. We're not really crowning a best park between the two because it's completely subjective, and that's why we broke it down into these 7 categories to let you decide which of them is more important to you as far as which park you want to visit. So if you want thrill rides or food, although that one, again, the answer is really City Walk. But if you're looking for thrill rides, Islands of Adventure is definitely the park you want to go to. If you are more looking for family attractions, shows, atmosphere and characters, or quiet spaces, then Universal Studios Florida is probably the park you're going to want to visit. And again, if you prefer to beat the heat by hopping on a really fun water ride, Islands of Adventure would be for you. If you prefer to just stay in the air conditioning, go over to Universal Studios Florida. Hopefully this video helps you to decide which park you want to visit during your Universal Orlando Resort vacation. Again, I recommend getting out to everything Universal Orlando Resort has to offer, but if you have to decide, hopefully this makes that decision a little bit easier. If you want to take a closer look at both Universal Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios Florida, we do have detailed guide videos to both parks, which we will link in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and subscribe, give us a thumbs up, ring the bell. We have all kinds of content on our channel here, looking at the parks, the hotels, and everything in between. So be sure to check all of that out to help you plan for your next vacation. And of course, if you are not yet working with a Destinations to Travel advisor, head over to d2travel.com or send us an email at info@d2travel.com to get in touch with one today and let them plan your Universal Orlando Resort vacation at no additional cost to you. But that's going to do it for us today. Thanks again, everyone. I'll see you real soon. Bye.
Destinations